Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast, the Awakening Spiritual Gifts. Always a favorite topic. So happy to be here. Let me I just got to look at the little buttons here for a minute. There's some things blocking on there. All right, so if you are new here, if you haven't watched before, we can discuss anything from your spiritual gifts to purpose, to the energies coming in, what our planet is experiencing, any blocks or struggles or anything that comes up. You're also welcome to even just ask for a general reading. This is the time where I just love to give back, and I love to serve and just to share insights that come like through however I can show up and serve. And then of course it's just a small portion. Like, you just take what I say and take with a grain of salt and take it through your own filtration and discernment process to see how it would apply for you. Because I do trust and just know that everyone has their own intuitive process to receive. So welcome. I'd like to just tap into just the energy of the day really fast, and then we'll dive into some of the questions. For the energy of the day, it is just basically just kind of reading the energy of what's showing up, what's coming in, what's happening around us. So just 1 minute, I'm just going to kind of tap to the energy of the day or the week, kind of see how it's progressing here, and then we'll jump into questions. So please drop any questions or anything you have in the comments below. All righty. Okay, so let's see here. Gosh, are you guys, I'm really curious where you guys are watching from. So while I'm checking the energy of the day, I'd love for you to drop like where you're watching from. Sometimes on this Wednesday broadcast, we do get people worldwide watching. That's pretty fun. And then also I'm curious about knowing where you're watching from because of some of the energies that I'm seeing and coming up right now. It looks as if it's affecting all of us, like a similar energy, but it's going to show up differently. I'm curious about weather. You guys experiencing any crazy things with weather? Because I'm just seeing a lot of this. I mean, like, for lack of better words, it looks like a wind blowing through. But the way it's falling, it makes me actually think of physical, environmental, like weather. And then also there's the spiritual side of it and the energetic side of it as well. But so, I mean, this could be anything from having heat. It could be maybe extreme rainstorms, could be droughts. It could be extreme winds. It's just like a lot of different patterns, weather patterns as it's coming down in. Now, spiritually and energetically, there's also some, for lack of better words, heat energy just intensifying. The heat energy can sound a little overwhelming. Oh, this is okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Heat wave. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing just heat, a lot of heat energy. But spiritually and energetically, that heat energy is also going to intensify whatever it is that you're experiencing, feeling, or going through right now. Heat, we oftentimes like, I don't want to go through the heat. But we just have to remember that heat is also a purification. It's also a warmth. It's also light. It's also a heating process that helps transform us and mold us and move us. Like, think of even like a blacksmith has to put the metals into the heat so that they can mold it. And that's kind of what I'm experiencing, kind of seeing here, is a lot of this heat energy. Oh, I didn't know about some of these things. Thank you, Nicole. I mean, like, I know I live in Utah, but I spend a lot of times between St. George and up north, and it's weird how St. George is getting like cooler weather and rain, and up north is getting heat. Like, sometimes the weather's flipped, which is so weird. Like, we've never. But then also wind and dust storms, heavy rains and floods. And Nicole, I'm like in your neighborhood. We have the same zip code right now. I'm in West Bountiful. So crazy. Okay, so that's a good reminder for us. Is just that heat. It's just intensifying. Man, does that. If you've been watching for a while, you know it really is unfolding a storyline. So this heat energy goes right in alignment with all the other energy story that we've been receiving for months now. It's just like we've been plucking things out and we've been healing and pulling in and uprooting things, and then now it's time to go a little bit, and then there's heat and the movement forward. So all of this is part of that big story. So that's kind of interesting thing that we're going through here. So that's always fun. I love to see where everyone's watching from. And it's fun. We're streaming to 3 different places today. We've got 2 pages on Facebook, and we also have a YouTube. So I'm going to go jump into some of the questions here. And this first question is coming from our YouTube audience, Kurt. So hi, I'm so glad you're watching. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I love this. Could you look into the energy of a move that we're making? We're debating between Utah or the Midwest, but are worried about making the decision that is most aligned with the divine's will for us. So I love that. Let's look at the energy of both. I'll kind of leave that up, and let's see if I can fit my face in this little crack, little space. All right. Okay. I'm going to just kind of draw here which one. Wow, I can see why you're having, like, there's definitely the choice energy here. It's almost like I've actually had prayers answered like this, and sometimes it's like, I just want you to tell me which one. But the energy here is just like, yeah, you can do this. Or yeah, you can do that. Like, it's definitely a your choice type of experience right now. When I look at the energy of Utah, it definitely feels a little bit more like that than even the other one. It's like, yeah, you can do this. You can do this option. It feels like the energy around it. It looks like it's just going to be a little bit more familiar. It's going to be a little easier. It does feel, there's almost like a little mound of energy over it. Like, yeah, you could camp here for a bit. You could stay here if that's what you choose. The Midwest move feels like more, it definitely has that uncertainty in it, but it also has big potential for growth, like really big potential of growth. That doesn't mean it's going to necessarily mean that it's going to be all sunshine and daisies and super easy and everything's just going to magically just be easy as pie. Like, there could still be some struggles in it. In fact, there probably will be if there's something valuable in terms of growth. It feels like there's maybe some people there to meet. It feels like when I look at the energy of you living there, it's like I'm seeing you almost like digging in the ground, or like taking a yard tool and like digging in the ground. So in a sense, that's kind of like, look at the journey, symbolism of a journey on that. It's kind of pioneering a little bit, breaking new ground, doing new things. And I see a lot of potential for maximum growth with the Midwest move. Now, this is so much your choice. It can definitely go both ways. So what is it that you're desiring? And I think that is a conversation. You're already having that conversation. I know, like you say, like to make the decision that's most aligned with the divine's will. This, honestly, with the way that some of this choice and agency energy is, what if there is no difference to God's will for you, or the divine, as you phrased it? What if there is no difference? What if it's just your choice on what path and what experience and opportunities for growth that you're choosing to have? Are you in a phase? Are you in a a position in life that you're seeking maximum growth, then stepping to the unknown and moving into the Midwest might be the option. Or if you're wanting to cultivate more peace and like the inner stuff, then that could be a little bit easier, and that would be Utah. So I just feel like it's kind of a choice thing and what path you are willing to take. Also, just a reminder, and I feel this feels kind of strongly, is to get started on one of those decisions. Instead of waiting to decide before you take an action step, what if you just randomly pick one? We've decided to do this, and just start taking action steps for it. Sometimes when you get moving is when, that car, you can steer the car a little bit more if you're moving versus trying to steer when you're parked. So get moving. Just choose one. It doesn't even matter which one. Choose one, get moving on it, and then you'll be able to know if you're going to course correct and switch gears, because then, like, oftentimes it's after that step, after that leap of faith, and after your choice and your movement is going, then you're going to get witnesses and you're going to get experiences to, like, testify that you're making the best choice for you after you're making those steps, right? So I felt like that was kind of something just to kind of remind you is get moving, and then, instead of waiting to know first which is the best one. What if just making the step first is what's going to tell you not only maybe which is the best, because like I said, if they're both equal, but which one you're most aligned to for your path in life. So anyway, thanks for asking the question. It's so fun to have our YouTube questions here. Okay, and let us know how that resonates. I always say that. I want to know how that feels for you, how it comes up. And even you can let me know like next week and be like, oh, that was so great. Here's what I did. I always love the feedback afterward too. Super fun. All righty. Nicole, are you still having problems with the feed? Is anyone else having a problem with the feed? I'm not seeing any internet stuff here. I've got like full bars and all that good stuff. So let me know if there's any problems with the feed. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And this is Angie. Super fun, Angie. Okay, so this question comes in from Facebook, our Facebook page. So hi, Angie. This is fun. Your 11-year-old has a question. He's listening. He's been getting anxieties right before bed. He wants to know where it is coming from and insights and advice on how to help him. He's tried a few things, but it hasn't helped. And he describes getting a panicky feeling before bed, almost like a panic attack. Okay, great question. Hi. I don't know your name, but hi, Angie, son. It's so good to have you here. I especially love when youth are asking for insights and directions. And even youth, I got to say, well, especially youth, I swear, the younger you are, sometimes the more intuitive you are. You got a lot of gifts there that you're closer to your birth than some of us that have gotten a little older and we forget some things. Okay, so I'm going to look at your energy in relation to going to bed and what comes up. And I'm also curious, Angie, or whoever's typing, where do you lie in do you have siblings? Are you the oldest child? Do you have some older siblings and you're younger? Like, I'm curious about where you lie in your family lineup with kids and siblings. Okay. And I'm just checking a few things. One of the first things that's coming up here is, I'll pull that back up. You can't hardly see my face, but that's okay. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, he's the oldest of 4 kids. Okay. So this is kind of interesting then, because one of the first like emotions and energies that I could see was almost this panic feeling of don't leave me behind, like don't leave me behind, like feeling like he's going to be left behind or left alone. So it's kind of, I actually had the impression that he was probably the oldest, but I was like, that doesn't really match. Sometimes it could be partly like a little smidgen of when he was a newborn and feeling like there's maybe some like training to sleep on your own, or there's something where he's feeling like he's going to be left behind or left alone, and there's some crying. But like I said, that's just kind of a smidgen. It wasn't a huge amount. I actually feel like there's some generational stuff here coming through your line, Angie, from your mother's side. So his grandmother's side. Let's see how many generations back. Yeah, it was about 3 generations back. And so one of the ancestors there went through something where they were left behind or feeling alone, actually feeling like everyone goes off and they've got to go to work, or they got to go do stuff that's important stuff, and they're just left behind, and it's scary alone and at home or whatever. So there's some generational stuff in there. Also too, I'm seeing some like just even wiring or kind of questions that float through the mind. And this is where the mind and the imagination just starts filling in the blanks, because there's this fear of the unknown. And that could show up in any way. It could be anywhere. It could be, fear of the unknown in the dark, but it could also be like, it could show up even like, you got to know the schedule of the day. Like, Mom, tell me what we're doing today, because of fear of the unknown. Or tell me, what's going to happen, what to expect, because when you don't know and it feels, super like vague, then it can feel kind of scary. So some of the things that I like to do, and I've got actually one of my daughters has something similar here, is that the first thing is to step out of fight or flight or freeze, which could be like, you could do some breathing exercises, try some music, meditation, like take you out of the mode. And then from there, when you can start to think of things a little more rationally, or maybe even at the night it won't work, but maybe if it's in the middle of the day, start looking at what like almost like logically what's going on. What is the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm not going to be alone. I'm not going to die. Like, you got people in the house, there's nothing truly bad that could happen. So what are some of these, identify some of the fears and kind of work through and just be like, what's, sometimes I'll even talk to my daughter. It's like, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario here? And she's like, well, this, and we'll walk through the scenario. And sometimes the worst case scenario is not that bad, but it's just the unknown of it. And so you could give yourself an action plan. So if you're laying in the dark and you hear a noise, what would you do? You would call out to somebody. Or, if you've got this happen, then this is what you would do. It's almost like you just kind of like, oh, well, there's nothing there that I wouldn't be able to handle, because now it's this and I know what I would do, or this and I would know what to do. I feel a lot of the anxiety and fear in the chest. And this is not even just at night. I would actually really start to implement breathing things all through the day. Breathing, how can you just like, and just imagine, especially you being 11 years old, you're gonna have so many like abilities and gifts that are even enhanced. And Angie, maybe you can walk him through some of this. But have, like, where are you feeling? This is one of the things that I love to do with kids is like identify where are you feeling some of the stress and anxiety in your body. What does it look like? What shape is it? What does it feel like? If you were to match it to something, does it look like a rock? Is it hard? Is it spiky? Is it soft? Is it sticky? Is it like a goo? Where are you feeling it in your body? And then I love to just kind of throw on some music and then just identifying what it is. And then even like, what do you need to do to remove it? So if it's sticky, if it's like gum, well, then maybe you got to use like lemon oil or something like disintegrates the gum. If it's like a rock, maybe you need to like imagine dynamite blowing up the stress that looks like a rock and then sweeping away the dust. Or maybe you put it in a basket and you throw the basket, or put it in a rocket and blast it to the sky. So you go through and you can kind of like imagine this stuff and take all that stress and anxiety, especially I'm feeling it here where the breathing is like, take deep breaths, imagine getting rid of it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What color is it? And then what do you need to do to get rid of it? And then start imagining some of that. And I would even start doing that. It doesn't have to be right at bedtime. Like that could be a daily thing that you could develop. I had a son that actually we did that every single day. We had a music and playlist, and he would throw on the headphones and we'd kind of walk through that little guided visualization, and I'd help him walk through it. So anyway, let me know how that helps, Angie. And I don't know your name, but Angie's son. So all right. It's kind of good to know that it's not all your energy too. So some of that is just trapped memories in your body that you just inherited. So you can clean it up without having all the fears and attachments to it. Okay, awesome. Okay, Emily, let's go to you, my dear. Love it. So we got Emily coming in from our Facebook. And would love a reading on big heavy energy that's been up the past few days, or it's building up. Building up the past couple months. I'm not sure if I've understood it all. I'm guessing it's a need to believe in more possibilities. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Okay, well, sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna just take a drink. It's like I keep trying to fight not getting hiccups, and now it's like getting stuck. Okay. I think it was because I had all the breathing energy the last the last one. Okay, so Emily, let's look at you, my dear. Okay, definitely seeing the big energy. I'm actually seeing some of it be like up in your energetic space, like it's coming up in your visual. It's like reminding me, have you played virtual reality? It's reminding me of virtual reality. Because I like playing Beat Saber, if you don't know what that is, where you get these little blocks to the music. But if you're not familiar with it, like thinking of like 3D or a driving game, or even if you're just driving on the road, but you're driving and then something comes closer to you and it's like off in the distance, it's small, but the closer it gets to you, it gets bigger, and it's like right here. So I actually feel like this big energy has been coming, and it's like traveling closer, closer, closer to you, and then all of a sudden now it's getting closer. I was like, whoa, it is getting bigger. And this cracks me up, Emily, that you love Beat Saber, because sometimes that's the visuals that come is the other person would understand what I'm talking about too. So hooray, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so it just reminds me of how these things come up closer, right? And it's like, but it's just getting up there. And so because it's getting so much bigger and it's right here in the view, it's not necessarily that it is bigger, but that it is feeling and looking even bigger just because it's getting closer. So that just tells me too, the closer makes me think of time. And so it's just getting closer in time for you to acknowledge or to step into that. The emotions that are coming up that around this big energy is almost which in a way it kind of ties into the need to believe in more possibilities. But I would even actually identify it more specifically, believing in the possibilities of you. So it feels like there's like some self-doubt creeping in, but it's very interesting because it's like you're super confident with what you know how to deal with. Like, oh yeah, I don't have self-doubt. I'm super confident with this, but this big thing is going to, whatever it is asking you to be more, do more, be able to do that. And you're like, I don't know if I'm big enough, or if I am capable enough to handle and to deal with this bigger thing here. So it definitely has a little bit of transformation, opportunities, stepping up into your next level type vibe. And so it's creating this, can I do it? And is it possible for me, right? Like it's just very much about your abilities and your capacity. So, Emily, I love that. Let me know what you think on that. I'm super confident in your abilities. You are a very skilled and talented woman, and I'm excited to see what that transpires to be. Also, I just kind of feel like you already have some of the ingredients and the elements of what this is. When I'm looking down at the bottom of the energy of this big thing that's up in your space here, it's like integrated. It has these energetic strands that are going down into the ground, but they're also coming into you. So you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, am I capable of doing this? It's like you will be capable. At the moment these things come up, you will gain whatever skills, tools, up-leveling that is required. So you don't have to worry about being prepared for it. It's as it's coming into your field, then at the moment it's in is the moment that you're going to be rising to the occasion. So that kind of takes a lot of the stress and the worry about, what do I have to do ahead of time? It's like, you just keep doing you. You just keep feeling it and stepping and taking those leaps of faith and those steps of faith. So very cool. Let me know on that one, my dear. It's fun to see that big energy. Okay, sensitive stronger. We got a question coming in from our YouTube. So, hey Martine, I'm wondering how I can use and this is Ginger later. She mentioned it's Ginger, so hi Ginger. I'm wondering how I can use my spiritual intuitive gifts to help people the most. Interestingly enough, the thing that just like immediately popped in and just keeps coming is it's like I see like energy coming at you and then you just exuding your gifts outward. So to me, this just is like giving me the impression that the way that you can help them the most is to be an example. Be an example to them and show them how you do it and show them how it's done. So it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I got to help this person and this person, this person. You may help people individually like that, but the most effective way that you can help them is by example, and whatever that is. So you've got I don't know if you have YouTube videos up or if you've got a business that you're doing with it. But I mean, that could even be tied into like marketing and social media posts, being super open and vulnerable. And here's what I'm doing. And then share your experiences and what you're doing. Just feels like just sharing personal things and examples would be really positive for you. So good question. That's super fun. This is super cool, Stephanie. A little foot reflexology before bedtime. That is really cool. I want to check out those books. Yeah, I teach all of these things I do with people and myself. I just integrate it into my parenting. And so my children have just been raised with these things. It's funny because like at their schools one time, they brought in a mindfulness specialist and they're doing all these things and meditation and how to think better. And then they go to these like leadership classes and they're learning about mindset and all this stuff. And my kids are like, it was like boring because it's just stuff that we do and we've always done, Mom. It's funny. I'm like, well, still be patient. You know, I'm sure there's still something you could learn. But to them, it was just like eating food or going to the bathroom. So I love it. And kids are so super intuitive and receptive to things. So very cool. Teach them young. Okay, Melissa, let's go to you, my dear. Melissa is asking from our Facebook. Asking a question about what you see with you and what's going on with your business. And I'm nearing a tipping point, a good one. Ooh, Melissa, I'd love to hear that. That's exciting. I love your business. I've seen your cards. I've seen you do what you do with your emotion stuff, but this is cool. Be fun to get his tipping point. Okay, let me look at it here. Let's see what is coming up for you, my dear. Okay, so this is kind of cool. I actually see a lot of energy and light around your eyes. And when I look at like the business, it's like if the business were a little hill and it's about like this tall, I see all of a sudden you being able to stand on top of the hill and look over the hill and be able to see more opportunities, see more situations, see what steps you could take. Like I just see that you are gifted with an ability to see. So instead of it looks like the path that you've been traveling is where before looked like the business was like this, and you're down here looking at this big mountain of business, like, oh, there's a mountain of business. And so now it's like you just have this elevated viewpoint. You're like, oh yeah, I'm on top of it. Oh yeah, I could do this and I could do this and I could do this. So yeah, that the way you describe it, a tipping point, definitely matches some of that like mountain energy. What I would definitely recommend, you're going to be seeing more possibilities and more options. So what you could do is even like capture them. How can you write them, journal them, write down all the ideas? Doesn't mean you have to implement them all right now, but you're going to have this aerial viewpoint so you can see a lot going on. And then something that you see, you could take action on it. But where you may not be able to take action on all of them at once, you could still capture it and take action on this one step here, and then almost be able to see of down the road and be like, I'm gonna take this step now, and oh, down the road I could do this, and I could go here, and I would just definitely start capturing it and then taking some action and taking those steps, following it. And then your business, honestly, it feels like that point, and then your business will grow again. And it might feel like, oh, where do I go next? And it's just like you're growing with your business. In fact, I'd be really curious. You probably have been doing a ton of personal work on yourself with your business. And so you probably just elevated yourself to the point that your business looks more doable, more manageable, like because you've worked on yourself, right? Like you're like, I got this. And then your business is going to grow, and it's going to make you stretch and grow and do new things. That's a whole beautiful cycle for all of us. I feel like that's something really good for all of us. Okay, and I love this. Let's look at some of these feedback things. We got Angie. I loved it. You described him almost exactly to the T. He looked at me like, how does she know this? I love it. Oh, that's some great feedback. Love it, love it. Yeah, there's a lot of gifts in that personality that he has, Angie. It can create some of the mental stress, but he is going to be also very skilled with thinking through things in a more thinking about some of the details that maybe others miss, because he's going to be like, that's what his brain naturally does. And then the shadow side of that gift is the what ifs, getting stuck in it. But yeah, lots of gifts there. And Emily, thank you for you giving some feedback here. I'm so glad it helped make sense, and a lot to see how to handle and walk into it. Yes. Okay, good. I'm so glad it's making it a little more doable. Yeah, that's a straight up leveling right there. Like when you just have to step into it, and as you're stepping into it going, oh, I don't, it's like, I don't have the skills ahead of time. I'm going to get them when I'm in the midst of it. Like that's just up leveling faith, opportunities of faith and building and transformation. So very, very cool. And you are welcome, Melissa. Okay, let's go to, we've got, and then also Ginger, thank you. I'm so glad that you've been doing those. Keep on doing it. Keep being an example to others. It's really awesome. Okay, let's go to, we got a question from Cindy, and Cindy is on our Facebook, on one of our Facebook pages, asking a question about how do I wake up my spiritual gifts, and do I have any spiritual blocks? Is there one gift that stands out? Now, gifts, I'm going to just touch on something. Some of you may have heard this before, but I just want to touch on it for a minute, just for some clarification on some of the things, like the way that I see things. I'm actually going to pull up, we have a free training or a free, it's like just an hour. I think it might even be an hour and 15 minutes. Little free thing over at the Intuition Gym. And you just go to theintuitiongym.com/senses. And it goes through our top 10 spiritual, actually, I'll leave that up there for a minute. It goes through the top 10, there are spiritual senses. We all have spiritual senses. Okay, we have our intuitive personality, which we touch on a little bit in that training as well. We've got intuitive personality types. We also have our spiritual senses. It's our receptors. It's how we receive things. And then our gifts work through the senses. Okay, so you could have two people that have almost an identical gift, but it's going to manifest differently depending on that intuitive personality type and what spiritual senses it's working through, right? So, like you might have, so I'm hoping that makes sense there. And so this question you're asking, Cindy, I want to touch on a couple different things. So wake up your spiritual gifts and spiritual blocks, and then there's one gift that stands out. So I don't know what's going to come up for you yet. I'm going to look at your energy here, but it might be a gift and it might be a spiritual sense, because your languaging there is kind of like just kind of having them be one and the same. So let's take a look at that and see. And I'm just going to trust that whichever thing is shown to me in the energy is the way that you're asking the question. So it might be showing you what some of your spiritual senses are or what your gifts are. It's really important to understand that distinction, because people oftentimes, people oftentimes will feel like they're not gifted. Like, I don't have gifts, when really they do, but they're just getting the gifts and the senses a little mixed up. The senses are just like how you receive it. It could be anything from sight, hearing, knowing, smell, taste, feel in your sensory or emotions, how you're feeling the emotions. Also like movement, expression. I know I missed some, but anyway, there's 10 of them. And a couple of them, I've never heard anybody else teach anywhere else. This is just straight up what I've seen with energy and how I've seen people in the way that their gifts and the way they receive things, and it moves through. So, okay, Cindy, let's look at you, my dear. Okay, the first thing that stands out to me is the energy around your eyes. And this actually does feel a gift, but it also could be coupled with a clairvoyant or the seeing type ability, like your spiritual sense. But the way that I see some of this gift working is I see a lot of energy around like absorbing and observing things. So you have this gift of observing. This could be anything from seeing a person in need and you'd be able to see what's going on. If there's a situation that's not right, you would be able to observe things and see things that maybe other people cannot see. So that's a really cool gift. Like just the ability to see. It's like an observer type gift, and it just kind of pulls it in through the sight. And then it's like I bet you also have the incredible ability to spot any discrepancies or misalignments in things, because you're like, well, I see this. And it's like, I see it's almost like you've got all these little shelves in your mind where you just observe and you put them on the shelves. And then it's like you can connect and make a lot of dots. You can, connect the dots and make these, be able to gather up the information and then kind of connect it. So you'd be able to see some of the misalignments there, things that are out of what, like you're just going to observe a lot of different things. You could just see people, see situations, see something that's not right or misaligned. So a lot of gift of observer there. And then I'm also seeing some gifts here. I'm seeing it like in the back of your tongue, and it definitely is like maybe an untapped gift of speaking. Because it also doesn't feel like it's a super it's not like a firm, fiery, destructive voice. That's not the energy that I'm sensing here. It's like a when you're asked to share your thoughts or opinions, it's like then you can articulate, and then it just kind of like it's right there in the back. And then when it's time and it's ready, then you can share all these little beautiful golden insights. Kind of reminds me, I have this friend that has has like a similar gift here, and it's like I always say, like, whenever my friend Marnie, if you guys anybody knows Marnie, but I'm like, when Marnie speaks, I listen, because she sits back and she kind of observes and she gathers information. And then all of a sudden she opens her mouth and it's like these truth bombs just come flying out, and it's just like these beautiful truths. But she does it in a very eloquent, soft, like a nice way. So there's something like that with you too. Like it just is like it's there, ready, and when it's time, then these beautiful truths can just be flowing from your mouth. Oh, I love it. I love hearing this. Yes. Yes, yes. And yes, that makes sense. Kay, I'm loving it. All right, so let me see if there's anything else for me to share with you on this today. You know, if you're up for it, I would totally love for you to watch that training and let me know what you think. But I feel like part of that, I'd like ask the question to look like any blocks that you might be bumping into right now. And the only thing that I could really see here is that you actually have more gifts working right now and more abilities that are working, but that it's not what you're looking for, so you're not seeing them. Does that make sense? Like if you're only looking for gifts that are like, or, you know, abilities like, I just am looking to, you know, if you're trying to like look and see energy like me, or I'm trying to see auras, or I just want to have gifts and like be a certain way, and you're wired and you have all these abilities, but they just are operating differently, then you might miss them because you're expecting it to look like somebody else's. Actually, as the moment I say that, it feels like you do have people in mind. Maybe you have friends, maybe you have mentors, people that you look up to that might have these gifts and abilities, and you're looking at them like they're this standard that you're trying to reach. And I would say, let go of that standard. You've got to like lean into your own and who you are, and what you have to offer. And that's why I love like that training is super awesome. Because it does talk about, you know, the difference of all of these things. And then once you, like what I have really, really found with like all, like over the many, many years, and probably hundreds of people I've shared this with, is your gifts develop most when you lean into your strengths first. So let me say that again. Your gifts develop most when you lean into your strengths first. So really start honing in on what you naturally do well first, and then once you get that down, then the other ones just start blossoming and opening up on their own even more. So, yep, you're already doing it. Just start looking for it. Okay, love it. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad. You are so welcome. Yeah, you got some cool things. Cool things working there. All right. Well, I love all this stuff. I love talking about spiritual gifts. Kind of going through some comments here. Yes, if you definitely, and if anyone here is interested in developing their gifts and abilities more, I always like invite you to come check out. We have our membership, super affordable, you guys. Like right now, it's only the price is going up. I just have to update all the pages, and because the value that I keep adding into the membership keeps increasing. So the price will be going up, but it's only $33 right now, you guys, for this membership. And we do have our weekly coaching calls, and we have a lot of other little bonus things. And there's like a member vault with like all these other trainings and material that you can watch. There's a lot of value in this. Only $33. You can check that out at theintuitiongym.com/join if you're wanting help to develop these things and kind of especially dive into like your intuitive language. And that's all it is. It's like we've all got our own language, but nobody else knows how to speak it on this planet. So you have to figure out how your language works and how your gifts work through all your senses and your personality. And we got a lot of stuff we dive into there. And then if you have not joined, we also have our free, just a free group. It's just a Facebook group, no pressure or anything. And we also have some great stuff and discussions and some trainings there. It's just awakening intuition, spiritual gifts, and purpose. So if you're wanting more help in all of these things with your gifts and abilities, definitely check all of that out. And let's go to April. You asked a question, my dear. I keep saying my dear. I was going through an airport a couple days ago, and I bump into people and I go, "Oh, sorry, my dear." I'm like, people are gonna think I'm weird if I'm just running around calling everybody my dear. But I kind of say it and like under my breath, so I'm like, then I would sound funny, like my dear. I'm like, oh. Anyway, at least you guys know what I'm saying, right? Okay, April, what gift or energy wants to come out and play in my life right now? I agree. The word play was an important part of that question. That is one of the words that stood out. As I navigate a big transition in life, home stuff. I seem like a weird question for them, but finally formed. Yes. So what gift or energy wants to come out and play? Okay, let me look at your energy here and see what is actually the word I was just going to say is crying out. And I do see that. I'm seeing like some of the desires of your heart, almost wanting to just cry out and be like, oh, like it's asking and it's crying out for some things. So that was definitely not a slip there. Let's see if we can identify it and get some more clues for you on what the energy looks like or what it means. Okay, so there's definitely some balancing that is asking to be taken place. It's like, I see that there's desires and seeds of your heart that have been in you for a long time. And perhaps you didn't see the fruit of those seeds. And so you also thought, well, maybe I'm just not going to do that right now. And so you started working on some other things. It feels like there's a bit of energy where you're trying to conform a bit. Like maybe there's a structure and a box that is deemed like, lots of people are doing a stamp of approval on looking and being and acting in a certain way. And so you're like, okay, well, this didn't work out. So I'm now trying to put on this, live in this other form right now. And it's okay to develop and stretch ourselves, and even to do opportunities like that where you feel like, no, I've got some of this in me where it's like, there's times the word conform is kind of like constricting when I say that, but for the meaning of the word, there are times that it is good for me to conform to certain things, not as a way of feeling repressed or controlled, but as a way to be in the world and to interact in the world. So there's a time and a place to work hard at something and to develop it, even if it feels like it's kind of a little bit of a box. So that's okay. But what I am seeing that I would definitely lean into is to remind you not to forget those seeds of your heart. Just because it wasn't time to see the fruit, or you didn't see the fruit yet, doesn't mean that those seeds are not still good. I actually also see something, which this is like a personality thing and it's totally awesome. I get it. But it's like maybe you want things to happen faster, and you probably even are gifted with this ability to see potential of things and see how it could be and how something could be faster and something could come in, manifest quickly. So you know it mentally. So it's like, well, I'm just expecting. And it's like a little bit of an impatience. I just want it fast. I want things to happen fast. So if I do this, I got the seed and I do a little bit of watering the seed, and now I want to see the fruit of my labor. And it's like, it's okay just to understand that there's a little bit of this. You got to process the watering it, the weeding it. What ground are you going to plant that seed in? How are you going to work the land, right? There's a lot of work that comes in there. Sometimes there's that whole gestation period, how much time, what new skills and talents and tools you have to develop in order to do that. And then there's just the actual like laboring in your vineyard. So that as you're laboring in there, then you can start to see it growing and flourishing more. And then after that comes the fruit, right? So sometimes it's like you see the seed and you want the fruit and you want them all now, but there's a process. So I love this. Yes. Having to conform or conform too long. Yeah, that word for me, conform, is not a great one. But do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily a controlling form of conform, but it's a okay, here's a good way. Here's a great way to put it. In fact, I feel like this is a little bit you, my dear. I said my dear again. Oh well, you're my dear. You're my friend. So, but this is where you're kind of a magical person. And this is part of my, she's like, why can't it? Like, I just kind of believe in some of this magic stuff, but I feel like you have a little extra magicalness in your mind and in your heart and your belief. And it's so much beauty there, right? There's a lot of gifts in believing in all this magic and stuff. But the shadow side of that gift could be, oh, well, I want it to magically be done, and forgetting that sometimes that work. So there's that balance. But the word play and all of that really ties into the seeds of your heart. Can you start to maybe journal and explore, what are those seeds? What is your soul calling out for that maybe you've been neglecting? Or maybe you didn't think it was a good seed because it wasn't showing fruit. So you're like, I'm going to dismiss it or put it on a shelf. How can you pull that seed back out and water it and build it and grow it and work on it? Even if you have to do other things on the side here, but this you got to still keep and develop and grow, because that is like that is you fulfilling your creation. What you were created to be and do are these little seeds of your heart. So, and I love that. Yes, you. Okay, and I love that. Being around my family that is lots of conforming, I need some magic or to express magic. Yeah. That intuitive personality type, that right there, you probably are dominant sky. Those are some dominant sky words, where if you get stuck in the school, the structure, the like doing a little too much of that, you can do it, but if you do it too long, it feels like it suffocates you. So you got to take those breath of fresh airs. So what can you do? What is like a sky energy that you can do? Speaking of Marnie, my friend Marnie, since you know her too, like one time she was here and she's teaching, like we were doing some classes together, and then she was also doing this one to help some tech stuff with some clients. And at the end of the day, she was just like, oh, I've just been doing all this computer stuff. And I was like, you know what? You just need some sky energy. So we went for a hike and we just like discussed and pondered the mysteries of the universe, and we're connecting to the plants and we're talking to all the plants and then feeling the energy in the trees. And it was like just, and then that night, like we were looking at the stars and stuff like that, was kind of like restoring some of the magic and stuff. And so how can you put that into your daily life and pull out the seeds of your heart and listen to them? So love it. Yes, listen to your heart to find out what play. Natalie, let's do a general read, and then this will be the last one for today. Okay, Natalie, let's see what comes up for you. Ooh, this is kind of fun. I'm seeing some energy on your tongue and in your mouth, and it feels like you've just got some things to say right now. Interestingly enough, it feels like it's not just like, oh, I just need to, oh, this is cool. This could be a gift beginning to develop. Very fun. But it doesn't feel like it's just like, oh, I just got to express how I feel. That's not necessarily what this is. It's like you've been learning things and you've been experiencing things, and you've gained wisdom and tools and training on certain things. And these things that are on your voice and your throat are meant to be shared and to be taught to others. So I don't know if this is for people in your life, if you're supposed to share a message there, or you are in the intuition gym. Maybe there's a post that you could do in the gym and our Facebook group, and you could share some of your thoughts and insights. Just feels like you may have some kind of like the gift of teaching, That's actually what it feels like. I was going to say speaking, but it's like the gift of speaking comes more through like your teacher, like a teacher gift that is there. And it feels like it's going to be developing more and more. The more you learn, the more you grow, the more you develop. It's like, and now I have to teach it and share what I've learned. So that ability and that gift is going to only increase and be enhanced and grow. And grow, and it could be a path for you to be taking. So I'm really, really curious to see how this unfolds for you. But you have important things to say, so listen to it, follow it, and it's very beautiful. But it is just big. Do you have a blog? Do you have something you could post on your social media pages? Like there's just something there for you to share. And it's just only going to get louder and louder. Like if you don't say it, it's just going to grow. I keep looking at the other energies, trying to see if there's something else that's wanting to come forward. And it's like mind energy, heart energy, all this like energies that you have inside are more in there. It's just this one is asking for the most attention now. So Natalie, what are you supposed to speak about? What are you going to teach or share with others? And it could be in a big or small way. It could be sharing with one-on-one, or it could be sharing an idea or a thought more in a public place. But whatever that is, you'll know, and I'll trust it. Or, you can trust that your abilities, and that you'll be able to know where and how to have that show up. That's really cool. Really, really cool. So, alrighty, again, let me know how any of this resonated. And then just a reminder, especially if for new people too, you can always ask questions before, during, or after this broadcast. If there's something you'd like to be anonymous, you can do that. You can message or email and just say, hey, this is anonymous. And then the next time I do recording here, I can, I'll make that available, or I'll do that in an anonymous way. Or if you're also watching a replay, this is a great way to still get your questions answered even when you can't be on live. And then we just tag you in the recording, and then you can come back and watch it when you do have time, and still be able to interact and be able to participate in these fun broadcasts. And so thank you. Oh, Stephanie, thank you for this. Thank you. It's my joy. I love to serve you guys, and I hope that that it does. And is more than anything, I love to hopefully remind each of you of your gifts and the amazingness of you and your talent and your intuitive abilities and your gifts that you have, your spiritual gifts, because we all have them. We have them like an infinite number, and they operate in different ways, and we administer them in different ways, and we serve others in different ways, and it's also unique, and it's also beautiful. And so nothing is drives me more than helping to remind people who they are and why they're here and how their gifts work. So okay, thank you everyone for being here. See you on the next one. Have a good day. Bye.